With the Bible browser, Logos lets you make amazing discoveries using the sophisticated tagging in the biblical text. Unearth biblical passages by grammatical or literary features, key topics or terms, by who's speaking or being spoken to, by significant events like miracles, and so much more. Logos has enriched the biblical text with rich tagging like referent data, word sense, and semantic roles. With the Bible browser, you can comb through the biblical text, choose the data you want to see, and then discover all of the verses where that data is found. To begin, open the Bible browser by selecting it from the Reference section of the Tools menu. The browser presents us with several filter options. Expand Bible books to see common divisions like the Law, Latter Prophets, and the Gospels. Let's select the Pauline epistles. Once we've selected these, we can expand other filter options like People. I'm interested in learning more about what Paul says concerning Jesus, so I'll click this option. Once we've selected Jesus, Logos filters the verses down to only those in the Pauline corpus that mention Jesus by name, as the subject of a verb or a pronoun. It also highlights that reference so we can quickly locate it. Now, let's expand the Things category to reveal what Paul talks about most in contexts where he speaks about Jesus. It may come as no surprise that Paul speaks of the body in verses where Jesus is mentioned more than any other thing. Within our results, we find verses from Romans 7 and 8 about the new reality that the death of Christ has brought about for believers. In Romans 12:5, 1 Corinthians 6:15, 12:12, and 12:27, Paul speaks of how believers are members of the body of Christ. Let's add a note to these verses by right-clicking Romans 12:5, selecting the reference, and choosing Add Note. Let's type Body of Christ metaphor. Now, since there are multiple references, we can simply click Add Anchor and enter additional references. Now, when we go back to the Bible browser, we'll see an icon next to the verses anchored to our new note. The Bible browser tool also lets us use the Find box to look for what we're interested in instead of scanning the filter options or utilizing complex search syntax. Let's type a church in the Find box. The Bible browser locates a church under the category People. Selecting this result populates the tool and gives me more filter options. As we scan through the list of available options, we discover that the term body appears quite frequently within contexts dealing with the church. When we filter by body, we once again encounter the body metaphor as it relates to God's people. Notice how the first verse, Romans 12:4, cuts off in the middle of the thought. Although Romans 12:5 comes up in our results as well, this might not always be the case. If you, like me, want a broader context, we can simply change the browser's settings to Pericopy instead of verse. This will both broaden our search and give us a better idea of the context in which our results are found. We can also search for specific terms within these results. Click the Send To button on the upper right and choose Search Panel. A new Bible search panel opens with the passages we've found preloaded in the range selector. When we search for the word love, we find numerous passages about how the church is called to love. Finally, let's return to the Bible browser and save our passages for further study at a later time. Click the Send To button again and select Passage List Document. Logos automatically saves our passage list and helpfully names it according to the filtering criteria we used: People, a church; Things, body, in ESV. If you prefer a different name for this passage list, click the title and rename it. With the Bible browser, you'll never run out of ways to explore the Bible and discern patterns in the text.